Here's Brody Brazil.
I'll be real here for a second. I've been seeing the comments, and a lot of you reaching out to me saying that you appreciate the fact that I'm still around, I'm paying attention, and making videos about the San Jose Sharks. Did you think I was going to stop? Really? That's not in my DNA. And also, you've been asking for more Sharks coverage and videos. You want me to keep it up, so here we go. Perfect timing. And coming off last night's overtime 2-1 win against one of the best teams in the NHL, I know the Caps didn't have Ovechkin, but it was a statement performance, statement win by the San Jose Sharks. Now 3 victories in a row. They've already done that once this season. They're trying to go streaking even longer this time around. But it's bringing a lot of people locally, regionally, and nationally to start asking themselves, could the Sharks right now be hockey's surprise team so far this season? And I'll just give away the answer right here, right now. I'll explain it later in just a second. Not necessarily the surprise team, but in a way, in a different way than you're expecting, they are kind of surprising me to a certain degree. Let's first begin with where they stand in the standings. And last year, worst record in the league, 1954-9 is how they finished. 47 points. They had a .287 points percentage across 82 games. Well, here they are, already leapfrogging this more than handful of teams. And I know it's early. And I also know the Sharks have played more games on the list here than basically everybody else. Yeah, a couple more than everybody else. But this is already encouraging. And I realize this is early. We're a little bit past the quarter point of the season. But if you're just taking this alone away from the team, the fact that they've had more success, and oh my goodness, do you remember how this season started? So the success has come more in recent times than the very first times this season. It is impressive to see that they have escalated themselves above a handful of teams so far. Will they stay in this top 25 position in the league? Will they go up even more? We'll find out. But as of where they stand right now, a dramatic improvement. I mean, the points percentage alone, the fact that they're not even at the halfway point of the season and they've already got more than half the wins of last year. Points-wise, they're well on pace to surpass far and away what they did last year and dramatically improve on it. But going back to the question, are they the NHL's surprise team? I'll say no because of this. The uptick and them getting better and them starting to make these steps and strides, none of that should really surprise anybody. That really shouldn't catch you by surprise. But maybe the part that is opening some eyes and getting people's attention is the fact that this team could be 4 to 12 months ahead of schedule. This might have been a little bit of a run that you would have expected to have seen at the end of this season or at the start of next season. Who knew how fast all of this would come together? You had the addition of the last 2 first-round draft picks in Will Smith from 2 summers ago, Macklin Celebrini from this past summer. You were adding that, plus a brand new head coach in Ryan Warsofsky. More on him in a second. I don't think he's got nearly enough credit so far this season for how things have gone and the turnaround that we've seen. He's the youngest head coach in the NHL. This is also his first time around as an NHL head coach. Not just that, but the host of trades and moves that Mike Grier, GM, MG, has been pulling off in the last 12 plus months. It has been impressive. And all of these things lead you to understanding why the Sharks have been playing and performing better so far this year. Blackwood and Vanacek, obviously you need 2 good goalies. Askarov is now right around the corner in the fold. We've already seen him make his debut. First Sharks home game, first win as a San Jose Shark about a week plus ago. So all of these things coming together. And my point is, no, this shouldn't totally catch you by surprise that this was going to happen. But the fact that it's happening now here in late 2024 as opposed to early 25 or even the fall of 25, late 25, that might be the surprise aspect of the San Jose Sharks. And again, all of this, like their success and where they stand right now, is considering that they started off losing their first 9 straight games. And last year, you remember how last season started? They lost their first 11 straight games. And losses 10 and 11 each had the Sharks allowing 10 goals. I think it was to Vancouver and Pittsburgh in back-to-back games, right? An infamous start to last year and a really bad one again to this year. I say really bad, though, but you could see this was different. And I don't know if the scores here on your screen make sense. If you're looking at them and saying, well, they lost most of those games by more than 1 goal. There were a lot of essentially 1-goal games. You add in some empty netters here. There was some close hockey. minus the Winnipeg game, minus the loss here to the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. Opening night, for example, the Sharks had a multiple goal lead. Were they up 3-1? 4-1 to St. Louis. They kind of blew it in the third period. It was opening night. There was a lot going on. The Blues win that game in overtime. But my point is, even right here, and the Dallas Stars was a heartbreaking loss in the shootout, even right here, you saw so many close games that already gave you the indication things were different, even though the results were similar at the start of this year from last year. So I do want to point that out. You could kind of already see some of this coming. Now, on the outside of the Sharks, like from far and away, from the opposite coast and from around the world, people might look at them and say, well, it's got to be the difference of Macklin Celebrini. He played the first game, he missed the next couple weeks, and then he returned, and the Sharks have been good ever since getting Macklin back. And this is true. Like, I cannot ignore this fact that with Macklin Celebrini, a 7-5-4 record, 52 goals for, 52 goals against, right? So it's a good team. It's a much better team with Macklin Celebrini. Without Macklin, 3-8-1, 28 goals for, and 45 goals against. Those are two different teams right there. Now, can one player make all of that difference? No, I don't think so. It's the ultimate team sport, but can one player make some of that difference? Can one player fill out the roster a little bit better? Make the lines a little bit more how you plan things from the start of the season? Yes, I absolutely think so. And not to take anything away from Calderbrini. Ooh, did I just do that? Did I just... We're not making that video yet. All right, I'm going to pump my brakes on that one. We'll get to the Calder talk some other time, I promise you, but not here right now. That's not what this is about. He's already shown he's a 200-foot player. He's a centerman to begin with. Remember a lot of players that come up, and even Tomas Hertl was one. How many years did it take him to go from being a winger to a centerman? Then they decided, he's not maybe ready for this. Let's put him back on the wing, and now let's try him again. It's a centerman. Macklin Celebrini has already taken draws like he's been in the league for 5 years, 10 years. Macklin Celebrini is a centerman right now. That's what he will always be in this league. He's a point producer. He keeps his head up. I've already made a separate video kind of contrasting and comparing him to Connor Bedard. And I said even in that video, it's not necessarily a fair comparison, but it's a fun comparison, and it's one that everybody's going to make. Macklin Celebrini, as I'm recording this right now, has factored into each of the last 5 game-winning goals for the Sharks. Whether he was scoring the goals, and I think 3 of them, or assisting on the last 2 of them, he has been there when the game matters most, or when it's about to take its most decisive turn. So, again, it's a team sport, and we're going to talk about some of the team moves and other contributors here, but I do understand from the outside looking in if a lot of people say, well, it has a lot to do with Macklin Celebrini. I can't disagree, but it's not entirely Macklin Celebrini. How about Ryan Warsofsky? Again, somebody who, as a head coach for the very first time in the NHL, hasn't gotten enough credit. He was on the staff last year and in prior years as an assistant. He was an assistant in the ECHL and the American Hockey League. And in both of those jobs, he was promoted to that respective team's head coach. Here he is again on that same trajectory from a member of the coaching staff to the head coach. He's going through this, and he weathered the storm to start off this year. And again, I mentioned those losses were not grand in fashion. They were not deflating, demoralizing like some of the Sharks' losses to start off last year. But this year, even when you lose that many games out of the gate, everybody starts writing you off and thinks, oh, this season's going to fall off the rails and it's going to unravel. It did not. Credit Ryan Warsofsky for that. Also credit Ryan Warsofsky for changing the culture inside the dressing room. Now, it's a San Jose group that I've been watching, I've been monitoring, I've been talking to people. I can't say firsthand that I've seen everything behind the scenes, but I'm already understanding from those I trust, those I know, this is a different group on the very, very inside. Like when the doors are closed and when the team is on a road trip and what they do in their free time, this is a much more cohesive group than it's been in a very long time. And we've seen that during the best years of San Jose Sharks hockey. It's great to know that this group is kind of like that already. Some of it's the makeup of the group, the demographics of the group, but a lot of it has to do with a head coach who's come in and who has stabilized things down. The Sharks have also built a team from the front office, and I don't have room on my screen here for everything they've done. You're wondering, well, is this Free agents too, where's Tyler Toffoli? Oh, no. I've got a separate page on Tyler in just a second. These are just some of the recent trades and how they got Jack Thompson and how they got Vanacek and how they got Wallman for basically nothing from Detroit. Wallman and a draft pick for future considerations. How they made the trade with Buffalo while the NHL draft was going on to move up to get Sam Dickinson, who's absolutely tearing it up so far this season. Wait until he's with, I don't even know, the Barracuda or eventually the Sharks. Wait until we see Sam Dickinson's trajectory coming out of the same draft as Macklin Celebrini. That's one that we'll be talking about. We haven't even seen Dickinson do his thing in San Jose yet, either at the AHL level or the NHL level. How the Sharks pulled off the Askarov trade with Nashville. How they got Liljegren and how he's kind of turned things around for San Jose since coming over from Toronto as they sent Matt Benning up to the Maple Leafs. Anyway, my point is, this is just a small sampling of the moves that Mike Grier has made. And if you go back to from when he took over, he had a lot of undoing to do and trades that he had to make, and Hurdle, obviously, and when the Sharks traded Erik Karlsson, that was a big one. He had a lot of demolition to do before the construction started. This is the construction of a team. This is a team and a group moving forward. It's not just about the young players and the star players to be. This is about building a team. And I'll tell you who looks like a tremendous team player so far. And to no surprise, like with all those years on the Los Angeles Kings, you always hated when Tyler Toffoli was going up against you, the Sharks, as an opponent. Now he is the San Jose Shark. He's on a 4-year contract, so 3 more years after this one. And I'm here to state right now, he's the best Sharks free agent signing since, I don't even know. I said the last 5 years on social media last night. Some people came back and said, no, dude, you should have said 10. I mean, I can remember some other good signings, and we'll see how Toffoli pans out over the course of a full season here. But look at his last 2 years. 34 goals in all 82 games with Calgary. And then last year, 33 goals, 79 games with the Devils in Winnipeg. So a player who's had some good seasons as of late, and so far this year, 10 goals through 28 games. He hadn't scored, I think, in 5 or 6 before he got one last night against the Washington Capitals. So he's doing his thing on the ice. He's been a point producer, a top 6 player, very important top 6 player, but a veteran role model. And again, one of those things that we're already understanding this year is that Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini, they have a special bond. They're going through this rookie season together, getting a lot of attention, learning a lot of things. And Tyler Toffoli has been around the league. And his last couple years, he's been on a handful of teams. I mean, not just the Flames and Devils and Winnipeg, but the Kings before that. He's kind of been around the block a few times as of late with NHL teams. But he's a veteran player who understands the game, the league, and what young players should be doing. And it just seems like he's imparting all the right things on those young players. So again, as much as his point production on the ice has been great, and we'll take it, at the same respect, you got to look at him as a figure inside the room and a veteran leader, one that this team very much needs. So where do we go with this? I mean, it's a good start. We're past the quarter point. And so it's enough to really look at the Sharks and get a first glimpse of who they are. But there is so much season left. And they might have some more losing skids, and they might have some more win streaks in them. They might have some months where they just go on a tear and even the losses are close and they win a couple blowouts and like scoring, 8 the other game against Seattle, one of the recent home games. They might have all of the above. There's a lot of season left. But the things I want to point out are this. Statement wins over good teams are a great thing for the San Jose Sharks. Like last night against one of the best in the league. Again, even without Ovi, the fact that you played Tom Wilson and the Washington Capitals to a 1-1 tie through 60 minutes, you beat him in overtime on the power play with the William Eklund one-timer. I mean, those are statement wins that go so much deeper than just the 2 points that this group gets out of that win and that result. I also want to say, even with the losses, and these are going to happen, as long as you make the losses competitive, and as long as you make the losses respectable, and as long as you can take some good things away from most losses that you tally, you're moving this thing in the right direction. There's no question about it. And I also want to say, in a weird way, the Sharks will be judged as a team and how things are going and coming together by results in the standings, obviously, but the individual progress. Like, look at William Eklund this year. And look at his chemistry with Macklin Celebrini. That's something I didn't even talk about before. Celebrini is almost, I don't want to say making Eklund better, but they as a tandem look quite complete. And the Zetterlands and the Granlunds. I could go on and on with a bunch of other players. I know I feel focused on just a few here, but individual progress of young players is so critical, so important. I can't wait to see Askarov if he comes up and gets another chance. And who knows what the Sharks will do with 3 really good, competent goalies for the rest of this season. I can't wait to follow the individual progress. Let's not forget individual progress it adds up to the team results, but it's also kind of separate, and we do need to see it that way. But the bottom line here is that the spotlight is back. The spotlight is back to the point that people are talking about the Sharks again, asking questions about the Sharks again, making good points about the Sharks again. They deserve this attention. They deserve this spotlight. But quite honestly, again, that's not the surprise. It's just the fact that this has come a little bit ahead of schedule. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm glad you stuck around to the end. Thumbs up for me down below. That'll greatly help me and this video and this channel. And make sure that you're already subscribed. I have a feeling you might be, but just in case you're not, go down there and hit that subscribe button. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.